Hello and welcome to this edition of Diary of Common Man. My name is Salim Lalani. First of all, my sincere apologies to all my viewers, my supporters, donors, and volunteers. I have not been able to put any videos for the last couple of months. And I think you know the reason. I have been extremely busy with the publishing of my book, The AgaKhan Delusion, a tale of sex, lies, and deception. This book will be available towards the end of the month on my website. We will give you the details of how to get there and how to buy the books. But next week, we will be taking pre orders, and once again, we will provide instructions via the social media. That is in relation to my book. Now, let's get into the topic for today, the great Jamatkhana scam. I'm sure we all have watched movies about robbery, crime, scams, fraud. But today, what I'm going to talk about is a real life scam, attempted scam, which unfortunately they could not pull it off. The scammers were none other than the representatives of Aga Khan. The Mukhi, the Kamadiyas, these are the leaders of Aga Khan. How did they design a plan to cheat, to embezzle, and also defraud the government of India apart from defrauding the members of the Jamaat? So let's begin. Aurangabad is a wonderful town in the state of Maharashtra in India. It is very well known for its caves. Caves which are called Ajanta and Ellora. These caves are UNESCO listed, and I highly recommend that you go there once in your life if you still haven't been there. Aurangabad also has a neighborhood called Fazalpura. It is here that for many, many decades the Agakhanis have had a Jamatkhana. Now they also have a Jamatkhana in another neighborhood called Padegaon, but we'll talk about Padegaon a little bit later. Fazalpura Jamaat, a few thousand murids regularly prayed at that Jamatkhana, but in 1999, things changed for them. At that time, there was only one Jamatkhana, and that was Fazalpura. But in 1999, the leaders of the Jamaat had a very dirty spiritual thought. The thought was to take advantage of their position, take advantage of the inside knowledge not only of the system, but how does a murid react to certain situations? How does an Aga Khani murid react? What are the buttons to press? That kind of information. And they came up with a scam, which is nothing short of the share market scam in 1992 in India. So, in 1999, they made an announcement in the Jamaat Khana that the Jamaat needs a new Jamaat Khana, and a colony will be built for the Jamaat 12 kilometers away from Fazalpura. It so happens that a group of Aga Khan leaders, they had brought an investment land in the neighborhood of Padegaon. Remember, at that time, there was no Jamaat Khana in Padegaon, but these people had an investment land in Padegaon. Now, Like any other investor, they wanted the land to appreciate in value. But how do you make it appreciate? Apart from the natural course of appreciation of any property, what can you do personally to make your land appreciate, or the price of the land in the area appreciate? What do you do personally? You can't do anything. You need to wait for the economy, for the market to run its course. But these are Agakhani leaders. They can make things happen. Things that a normal investor may not be able to do. These Agakhanis can make that happen, and they tried doing that. In fact, they succeeded in that. In this scam that I'm going to talk about, there are two or three different components, and hence it's a complicated story, but I'll try and make it as easy for you to understand as possible. So, one objective they did achieve, that is increasing the value of their land. They did achieve that. But they also tried embezzlement, and unfortunately, they did not succeed in that plan. So, anyway, coming back to the land, they make an announcement in the Jamatkhana, we need a new Jamatkhana. So, the idea was the way they were going to make their land appreciate in value is to move the Jamatkhana from Fazalpura to Padegaon, where they have a piece of land. Now, how would that make the land appreciate? Because Aga Khanis only live in colonies and only live, this is particularly the case in the third world countries. Okay? They live near where the Jamaat Khana is. Even in the first world countries, I've seen in many places where they prefer to live near to the Jamaat Khana. But in Aurangabad in particular, they wanted to live in a colony. So if they should close the Fazalpura, the Jamaat will have to come to Padegaon. And wherever the Jamaat Khana is, the price of the land is at a premium. And the leaders know that. They know that the Jamaat will pay a premium for living near the Jamaat Khana. And they take full advantage of that. So what they've done is they have announced that we will move the Jamaat Khana in Padegaon where their land is. A colony will be built, and in 1999, to achieve that purpose, they brought a piece of land in Padegaon. A housing society was formed to make sure that the project happens, whether legally or illegally, we'll talk about that in a minute. But a housing society was formed. But guess who are the members of the housing society? It is the same leaders who own the land in Padegaon. Now, not only do they have the authority from Aga Khan as spiritual leaders, but now they also have the authority to conduct the activities or influence the decision making process of the housing society. So they are in full command to move the Jamaat Khana to Padegaon in the way they want. But guess what? This is what they want. They have an ulterior motive. But does the Jamaat want to move to Padegaon? No. Why? Because they are well settled in Fazalpura. They have been for many decades. Their children go to school there. They have businesses around Fazalpura. They have their Jamaat Khana in Fazalpura. They are very happy and they have deep roots in Fazalpura. They don't want to move. But what can they do if the leaders decide to take them somewhere else? Now, the land is registered in 1999 and it is subdivided into 101 lots. 98 of those lots will be offered to the Jamaat to buy and build houses on those lots. Three lots were reserved, one for building the Jamatkhana, two for building the offices of the housing society, and three was reserved for the underprivileged section of the community. Now, they make the announcement, the land is sold, but the thing is that the land for the Jamaat Khana is the largest piece of land, and they have their dirty eyes on that piece of land. What do I mean? They want to actually usurp that piece of land. So that is the intention of the leaders at this point in time. And we'll talk about how they try to usurp that. We'll talk about that in just 1 minute. But going back to the land, they register the land, they've made the announcement. Now they make another announcement that to build the Jamaat Khana, we have Mola Bapa, that is AgaKhan, has gracefully allowed us to start a fundraising campaign to build the Jamaat Khana and to buy the land. The fundraising, those of you who are Ismailis or Agakhanis, you know very well that in those days, people used to fall over each other to pay, to donate towards constructing a Jamaat Khana. Why not? If they construct the Jamaat Khana, if they contribute to it, they'll go to heaven. It's so simple. Going to heaven is so simple. Doesn't matter how many sins you commit, doesn't matter how many people you defraud, doesn't matter whatever you do, just contribute to Jamaat Khana and give money in the Jamaat Khana, you go to heaven. Simple as that. So, but now things have changed after the internet has arrived and people like me have exposed them completely. They are struggling to get the fundraising, but that is not my topic today. In those days, they used to fall over each other to contribute, and they did. Not only did the money come from Aurangabad, it came from throughout India and from throughout the world. So the leaders have benefited so far by the sale of the land in Padegaon at a premium, number one. Because the Ismaili Jamaat has moved there, obviously the price of their land has increased. That is a gain for them, a financial gain. But this donation that is coming from all over the place, guess what? It is unaccounted and unreported cash, and they are the receivers or they are the trustees of that cash. And are these trustworthy people? So that's another way they benefited from the windfall coming from all over the place. Anyway, let's move forward. The fundraising keeps going for next 13 years. Finally, in 2013, the construction starts, but without the government permission. You might think, how can that happen? In India and in most third world countries, it can happen. There is a thing called under the table. They started the construction. Obviously, they paid the contractors in cash. How much did they pay? How much did they receive? There's no accountability, as is the case in Jamatkhana. They are in full power to make money. Yeah. Okay. Finally, in 2016, the construction is complete, but here is another twist. Between 2013 and 2016, the construction is happening. But in 2015, 1 year before the construction completes, they close the Fazalpura Jamatkhana and force the Jamaat to move to Padegaon Jamatkhana. Now remember, Padegaon Jamatkhana is not yet complete, but they forced the Jamaat to move there. Now, why do I keep using the word force? Because they have locked up the Fazalpura Jamatkhana, and Padegaon Jamatkhana hasn't even got a toilet. It is 12 kilometers away. Now, those of you who live in India or in any third world country will understand that traveling from one place to another is a hassle when you don't have a car. 12 kilometers to travel without a car to go to Jamaat Khana is a nightmare for any Agakhani. In the first world countries is understandable. We have cars. It hardly takes us 8 minutes, 10 minutes to get to the Jamaat Khana if it is 12 kilometers away. But in the third world countries, that is not the case. Obviously, the Jamaat is not happy. They have been forced to migrate. And not only that, the road going to Padegaon is not yet built properly. Infrastructure is missing. Toilet is missing. And the Jamaat is supposed to go there to pray. The Jamaat was not happy, as I said. How can they be? So, what they did is they appealed to the leaders to change their mind. But why would leaders listen to the Jamaat? Particularly when they have an ulterior motive. So, the Jamaat wrote to the local council, regional council, that is the regional council of His Highness the AgaKhan Council for Pune. They, what did they do? Any idea? Yes, they did nothing. So, in frustration, the Jamaat writes to the National Council of India in Mumbai. The president of the council in those days was Ashish Merchant. Do you think he paid attention? You know the answer. When they didn't get anywhere, they wrote to Aga Khan Foundation. Do you think they paid attention? You know the answer. Now, what recourse do they have? They are uprooted. They are uprooted. What recourse do they have? They say they call Aga Khan Hazar Imam. You know why they call him Hazar Imam? Because he is present physically. But that presence is of no use to the Jamaat because the Jamaat cannot access him. He may be Hazar as living in this world, but that doesn't mean that he is Hazar for the Jamaat. He was not Hazar. He cannot be accessed. Okay, it's as simple as that. So now what recourse do they have? Imam is not there, his councils are not there, his leaders are not there. You know what they did? They actually broke into the old Jamatkhana. They broke the lock. But not before informing the police. And with the blessings of the police, they did it. And I salute them for doing that. Although what they did is actually that is an act of rebellion against the Imam. And I'll tell you why. Leaders are the representatives of the Imam. Imam, I remember Karim Hazar Imam saying very clearly that these leaders are myself. I talk to my Jamaat via my leaders. So you must do what your leaders say. Rebelling against the leaders is rebelling against the Imam. And that is against the doctrine of agakhanism, but I don't think the Jamaat understands all that. Okay, it's too difficult. Anyway, they broke into it, and some people refused to go to Padegaon. They went to Fazilpura Jamatkhana. Now, in 2016, finally, the Jamatkhana is completed. They get the building certificate. Everything is fine. Jamatkhana was built, but on which land? Remember, I spoke to you about three pieces of land, three parcels of land reserved. One piece of land was for the Jamatkhana, second piece of land was for building the housing society, and the third piece of land was reserved for the underprivileged. Out of which I said to you that the Jamatkhana land was the largest piece of land, almost 1300 square meters. Okay? Now, this is good enough to build 15, 20 houses. The three pieces of land, we will identify them with the numbers. B48, which is for the Jamatkhana, the largest piece of land, and B31 was for the building of housing society. And the third one, I don't remember. But that third one doesn't matter anyway. What matters is that B31 was the smaller one for the society office, B48 was the largest. And they had promised that the Jamaat Khana will be built on B48, but they actually built it on B31 without any consultation with the Jamaat. They made a decision to do that. So, why would they do that? Why not build on B48? Because they wanted to usurp that land. How do they do that? How can anybody do that? This is how. So they basically get three relatives to buy that piece of land. Which one? B48. The leaders get three of their relatives to buy that piece of land. And these relatives are old people and they are bhagats. You know what a bhagat is? Many people don't know what bhagat is. Bhagat is an Agakhani fanatic. He believes in the divinity of AgaKhan and the argument stops there. That is a bhagat. And they are very regular in their attendance in the Jamaat Khana and serving the Imam and the Jamaat. That is a bhagat. Okay, so these three old men, they are bhagats. And another thing that I think you should take note is they cannot even speak or write English. They even sign in Gujarati. They don't know what is going on. They've been told that you will buy this piece of land and you have been selected to gift this land to our beloved Hazar Imam, the Aga Khan. Now, The three old men have they have tears in their eyes. How lucky can you get that out of so many people, we have been selected to gift Jamatkhana land to Hazar Imam, to Aga Khan. They cannot believe their luck, but they don't know. The scheme designed by the leaders, the intention is to get these people to buy the land and then get them to sign documents which will transfer the land in their name. Because remember, the three old men will sign anywhere. They cannot read English or they cannot read any other language. And even if they tried to, they wouldn't understand a thing. All they know is they have been selected to gift the land to Aga Khan Foundation. Now, let's talk about the transaction. How do they transfer the land in the name of these three relatives? They get the housing society of which they are the members along with some other people. They get the housing society to sell that piece of land to the relatives for 5 lakh rupees. But guess what? What is the market value of that land? 38 lakh rupees. Land that is worth 38 lakh rupees is sold to the relatives for 5 lakh rupees. On what pretext? Because we are going to donate this land to Aga Khan Foundation. Now, the old relatives, they don't have the money, not even 5 lakh rupees to buy the land. So, what the leaders do? They give them the cash. They tell them, take this 5 lakh rupees, go to the bank and issue a check in the name of the housing society. At the end of the day, housing society is the vendor or the seller, and these three old men are the buyers. The black money has been washed. This is called money laundering. That 5 lakh rupees was unaccounted cash. Now, the land is owned by three old men. Are they going to donate it to Aga Khan Foundation? No. Whilst all this is happening, the underselling of the land, building the Jamatkhana on another property, another piece of land, building without permission, and so many other irregularities of the leaders. There is a person watching all this while all this is happening. While all this is happening from the start, from 1999, this person is watching. And by the way, he also is a leader and he also is a member of the housing society. And he is watching. And he begins to ask questions which are not appreciated by the fraudsters. So he decides to blow the whistle. Now, I know exactly what is going through your mind, and I'm going to address it now. You might think that he was a leader as well, and he was in position of power along with other leaders. Maybe he fell out with the other leaders, and as an act of retribution, he decided to blow the whistle on the other leaders. Is that what is going through your mind? That is something that did go through my mind initially, and if that was the case, I would not be narrating this story to you today. I would not bring it to you. But the reason why I decided to take this story is because he provided me with the documents. He provided me with cold, hard evidence of the fraud that happened. When he blew the whistle, he started from the police station to the land registry to the courts. He's been through all that for many, many years. And he gave me the documents. And I have given those documents to you to verify. You can find those documents in the description below. That is the reason why I have decided to narrate this story, report this story to you, so that you may become aware that this is what your leaders are doing behind your backs. And this is happening. Similar things are happening in almost all Jamatkhanas around the world. And hence I say to you, do not give to AgaKhan, give to the poor. Anyway, coming back to the whistleblower. Whistleblower is Mr. Rahim Moti. And he reported them to the police. He reported them to the land registry. He had to face a lot of difficulties because remember, the leaders have a lot of money to throw or rather give under the table. And they made Rahim Moti's life as difficult as possible. But in the end, Mr. Moti was able to file a case in the High Court of Aurangabad. One of the leaders was recently arrested as a result of Mr. Moti's work. His name is Rafiq Hirani. It's not as if the other leaders, Samir Moti, Ramzan Charania, and there was another leader, I think I forget his name, Aziz something, Aziz Surani. It's not as if they have been forgotten. No, the case is still pending and they could be charged as well. Rafiq Hirani is now out on bail and we will see what happens to the case in the future. I will keep you posted of what happens as the case progresses. But before going, what is the lesson that we learn? Do we need any more evidence of the fact that Aga Khan Murids are being defrauded? They are being defrauded forever. It is now time to wake up. Thanks to the bravery of Mr. Moti, the life of a whistleblower is not easy. They have to put up with a lot of things. They are judged by the society. They are abused, sometimes physically, and standing alone is not as easy as you might think. So well done. I salute you, Mr. Moti, and I hope that other people around the world will take inspiration from him and come forward and give us your own stories so that we can continue this campaign of creating awareness into the future like we have done for last 4.5 years. Just before going, don't forget my book, The Aga Khan Delusion, Tale of Sex, Lies and Deception. Pre-orders will start next week. The book will be available for sale towards the end of the month on my website. Watch out for the details. Take care of yourself. Like, share this particular episode so that as many people around the world become aware and they stop giving to the AgaKhan and give to the poor. Thank you. Goodbye. See you next week.